Thank you very much for the presentation. This is Ubuntu, a conversation with Africa. Let's see, let's take some questions, Professor Muchie. We have the first question here is, what is the relationship between indigenous knowledge and culture? That's the first one.
Okay, should I answer that?
Yes, please.
So indigenous knowledge sources are many. Culture is also one. The different communities have their own language, their own culture, their own ways of producing, all right, in agriculture, many things like that. So definitely the indigenous knowledge that should come from different cultures must also be acknowledged. For example, in Ethiopia, we have what's called the Gada system from the Oromo people, and they have it's a culture. You may call it a culture, but what it does is, for example, they have a system of politics where no leader should stay more than 8 years. Isn't that interesting? I mean, before you know about this, it's not the West that the West makes it 10 years or whatever. I don't know what they do, so twice, but also they created this kind of system. So that in fact that kind of knowledge, what is that? I mean, that Gada system or something, we should learn it too. How did they do it? What was it? It's not to copy or anything like that. It is just understand it, know it, include it also, so that everybody knows it. What's wrong with that? To know is not a problem. So I think we should do things like that. So there are many examples from different parts. The problem we have now is that if the Yorubas know something, the Igbos do something, we mustn't, because of the different people doing it, we mustn't judge it by the originators. We must judge it by the quality of the culture that and the knowledge that we should gain from it. If we end up getting all this knowledge from outside, and we just mimic it and implement it, why not use our own, also derive from our knowledge and synthesize it, and not just say this is for one or the other, but for all of Africa. It just shows Africa is rich. We have many languages, we have many different varieties of cultures, but our cultures and differences, we should appreciate it. And we should, by celebrating our similarity and the knowledge that we have generated from our different cultures, from our different values, and from the different experience and we went through in life. I think that's very important. And even our dreams, our visions, our spirits, everything that we come from, there is a lot of knowledge that we need to draw, but then even synthesize it, integrate it, excavate it, so that we can actually then apply it, use it, and help us to change our lives in a very positive way without judging and defining it in one way or the other based on where it comes from, which place originated it from. All right, thank you.
So
for the question.
Indigenous knowledge essentially draws from culture. Then the follow-up question is, what is the difference, or what is the relationship between indigenous knowledge and belief or religion?
Yeah, well, I saw your article on religiosity and innovation. I'm fascinated by that article. No, I think it's a very good question. Again, you see, from religion, you see, can I just tell you, all the people who are working for the churches or for the mosques, for all on the religious part, that's their duty. So one of the things they engage in is knowledge and revelational. For example, the Islamic science, in the Islamic way, they do not say 1 + 1 is 2. They think it differently, revelationally. So knowledge is gained through revelation. Yeah, but some people might call this mystical, but it's powerful because you're able to predict about the stars, about the astronomy, about many things, about many things that happen based on religious also sources. So what you're saying now is there are different ways of knowing. One way of knowing is through revelation. Another way of knowing is through reason. For example, let me just give you a concrete example. Uh, you know, the European Enlightenment is the main reason why the European Enlightenment is called European Enlightenment is because of reason. They use reason, not something that they don't say something coming from revelation or from religion. They do it, or from God. They do it from what is happening in on the reality, and from that they create logic. So they create logical reasoning. Yeah. So they were saying that. But what was very fascinating is almost 200 years before the European Enlightenment, we had the African Enlightenment. And the African Enlightenment was created by a philosopher called Zerago. And he produced a book called Hatata, where he actually also wrote about God. How did God originated? And he reasoned like this: who created me, my mother and father? Who created my mother and father, their father and mother? Who created them, the creator? Who created the creator? God. So he
Who created God? Did he ask that question? Who created God? If he kept going? Yeah. Anyway, just go ahead, please. Go ahead.
So it created. The most interesting thing is the reason, the logic, the reason was fascinating. And in fact, there's a professor called Claude Sumner. He's one of the professors when Addis Ababa University was opened in Ethiopia. He came from Canada, and he learned the Giz language that Ethiopians. I don't know what our problems is, that I was not educated, and my dream is when I retire, I go back home, I hope, and then I get a chance to learn the Giz language and learn all this ancient knowledge that our people have. So then I can then develop the course on all this knowledge also for the university, maybe for your university, for the Osiris University. You should. No, we must make up now an agreement. If I learn it and I develop the course, and if you don't implement it, then what would Mammo do to you? So, no, but what is fascinating is this man, he's a professor, Claude Sumner. He lived 92 years and he died. And he wrote on the philosophy. He wrote on what's called Ethiopian philosophy. There's what's called Ethiopianism philosophy, which I'm developing now. There's also what's called Ethiopian philosophy, which he developed, Claude Sumner. The most fascinating thing is what he did. He did on this creation. And then a lot of other people from Ethiopia were saying that, they were critical of this philosopher. But he said, no, the African Enlightenment was created, you see, by this philosophy. So all I'm just saying there's a lot of fascinating discussion about religion has huge influence. The only thing I must say about religion is that all of you who have different religions should not say my religion is better than your religion. Don't say that. God will not like it, sincerely. God in Genesis said, I regret created men. He said that. Why he said that is because of the way we misbehave. We use religion to reach God, but we attack other people if they are not in your religion. This is not nice. This is very, very bad. You create terrorism, many things through religion, extremism, anything like that, which is recently my country has been under tremendous problem because of all these extremisms. And now I heard there was a conference yesterday, the day before yesterday on Thursday. It's called Sovereign Security. And I was doing moderating the panel on technology defense technology on trends and opportunities on how to develop it. And then the later part was on SADC terrorism and how in Africa this terrorism is spreading in Nigeria. Then also all these extremists also are uniting. They are creating they're all connected. That came out in the discussion, and I was shocked. I couldn't believe it that this is. And then some countries are targeted. Like one of the countries they target is my own country, Ethiopia. I got scared. I swear to you, and it's not nice. And then even South Africa is also in it. Mozambique is in it. Nigeria and Somalia. A number of countries in East Africa, South Africa, West Africa have been selected. That's what it says. So we need to stop this kind of thing. That we shouldn't use religion. Religion should be universalized. God is one. All the religions must be respectful. If my way of reaching God is different from your way of reaching God, why do you attack me? And if we all are created in the image of God, if I hurt you, I'm hurting God. So please don't make him regret more, because he said, I regret creating men in Genesis. I hope you all do not do anything to make God get more upset. Please don't make him upset, because people are, strange things are happening that made me cry. I'm telling you, I've been really crying recently about what's going on in my own country. I couldn't believe what's happening. I couldn't believe human beings will do that. Like, people who are pregnant getting their body and then taking the child out and things like that. Strange things are happening. I don't understand it. So please, 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 let's be more rational, more civilized, more humane, and more moral intelligent, emotionally intelligent, all right? And sincere and humble. I think that's what we should be. Thank you for asking the question.
Appreciate you so much saying that. And as I reflect on what you are saying, I can say that from my understanding, our ancestors who practiced their religion in Africa had, and still has, a diversity of religion. But if you look at the way Africans practice religion, our own religion, it was not to proselytize or say mine is better than yours. So it was their own way to get in touch with humanity, to get in touch with yourself. And it's something they did in their homes. They didn't bother other people with their way of worship. And so I am so pleased that you are saying this, that we shouldn't ever come out and say, my way, my religion is better than yours, because it creates a lot of havoc around the world. Thank you so much for saying that. The next question is about Madagascar. I hope you are familiar with the cure for COVID-19 developed in Madagascar. So somebody's asking, with indigenous knowledge, how would you rate the Madagascar cure for COVID-19 when it was not considered scientific by the WHO?
That is a very good question. I think not only in Madagascar, even in my own country, in Ethiopia, there's a doctor, an indigenous knowledge expert. And we had this week where we had Innovation Week. And I also gave a lecture on indigenous knowledge. And the key thing is what you just said, that whatever we say, the recognition of indigenous knowledge is not done by all. The World Health Organization, all the international organizations, although they say, even they write about it, even the World Bank has written about it, UNDP, many of them, WHO, all of them have some, UNESCO and others have done it, but in reality, recognizing it is difficult. The other point is also what often happens is, you must know, like we have a problem of relationship between Africans and the West, we also have relationship problem with those who are now they dominate the health sphere, which is the doctors, the hospitals and all this. they now, and they want to create vaccines and things like that. Then also the people who are interested in making also gains out of this, private companies and others that getting involved in supporting this and trying to create what they call the right vaccine for this coronavirus stuff. Because they are now, if the indigenous knowledge side comes, they may find it as if this is going to oppose them. You see, they may see it's going to all the work they are doing in terms of creating. How many countries are now? I heard 78 to 80 countries are trying to develop this vaccine for the coronavirus. So many countries are competing. So many companies are engaged in this. And then when you have a country like Madagascar says, I have something, whether it's right or not, I mean, I can't, please forgive me, because exactly what it does, I have no, I mean, it's not easy for all of us to say what they are offering is actually doing, preventing or curing coronavirus. But whatever it is, they claimed it. They say it's actually working. It's supporting them. And then when they, our WHO says, no, this is not right. I heard Madagascar left the WHO. So the most interesting issue from this we should learn is that the value of indigenous knowledge is very, very important, especially now when we have difficulties finding the solution for this coronavirus, which some people, the WHO guys also have said, may take over 10 years. This is extraordinary. I mean, this is really creating an economic crisis. I mean, not just health crisis. I mean, social crisis. Many, many challenges are occurring. So a solution needs to be found. Even our indigenous knowledge practitioners, wherever they are across the world, they should be, and the health side is one of the key things that they have been doing. I just told you my aunt was what she did when she was curing all those who had rabies and things like that. All I'm saying to you is that we should really discover a solution for this coronavirus by not just saying it should be through vaccines, through the laboratories and experiment. It should also be through the experiences that people have and how to treat different knowledge, what they do. I mean, all the things we need to, it may be, it may be things, the way we act, not just wearing masks and things. Maybe we should be able to even go to fully to work without, if there is some food we eat or something, some traditional medicine we take that allows us to do it. They may find it. So what I like this question, a very, very good question, is let's be open. Indigenous knowledge is a rich sphere from which we may find solution, not the vaccines. You see, the vaccines, what do? Vaccines, you take it, you are supposed to be cured by it. But there's always a risk with all this when you take all these medicines. You see, there's also other challenges you may face. But if you have the traditional one, meaning if you just do it through plants or through other things, maybe the danger may not be that much. So because of that, I think let's be very clever, very intelligent about it, about how we can use, let's be inclusive. Like I said, let's fuse it. Let's not say this is wrong, this is right. Let's try to find a solution that prevents us from suffering from this coronavirus disorder, global disorder. That's what my suggestions. Thank you for the question.
Yes, and I'll also add, if I may, in alignment with your presentation, which is to integrate indigenous knowledge. I think health scholars of Africa should also make effort to take a look at those cures that have been developed and test them, right? So we can actually test them, we can monitor them, we can analyze them and say, okay, this is working. We've tested this herb or this system on a number of people, right? We can measure that and bring it into the scientific literature. So why not? We can do that. I don't think we should be afraid of carefully measuring the effectiveness of the care. The other question is, how do you protect the local or indigenous African language when the languages are not used as the language of instruction?
Yeah, I think the language development side, we should also reflect very systematically how to do it. The problem now is if they are not even now digitalized and also really recorded and so on, they may disappear. So the risk of some of the languages disappearing is very high. For example, I have to give you this concrete example. I teach in the Pan-African University, and then I went to Cameroon. I was amazed about a number of the people I met in Cameroon, very nice people, but when I say I do not want to say to you, merci beaucoup, or thank you, but I want to say it in your local language. Can you please tell me in your local language? Yeah? They don't know their local language. They got embarrassed. So it's a very sad situation. We must not lose all our languages. All our languages must be recorded, must have also a base. Even the alphabets have to be done properly. We should use now the current technology we have, luckily with the digital technology, we should be able to really revive them and record them and decode code them very well and establish them. Then make sure also the people, at least here where I am in South Africa, there are 11 languages that are official. They made them official. I mean, they are. So, and most of the languages are, the good thing is the language are very similar. It's just voice. The root languages of Africa are not many. They say the root languages are 11 or so. That's what you know. That the people who have studied the African languages have done this work. So what we need now is the variations in terms of sound variations. We should capture even these variations in a very interesting way, and then see how we could maintain them. But as you rightly put it, it is possible when we do the language studies, there should be not just one or two languages, maybe open it as an African language, indigenous language kind of thing, and make sure that all of us knows these languages. In fact, if the root language, there's a professor called Kwesi Pra, he's from Ghana, he's a linguist, and he's done many studies. He says the root languages of Africa are no more than 11. And what it means is even the variations, the way we understand them, all this indigenous knowledge, the indigenous language knowledge must also be done very systematically and put it in, as you rightly put it in the curriculum and also put it in the educational system. We can do it like that, and we could, and then don't make only people learn a foreign language, the French language, and then speak only French and not their own local language. But let's make all of them at least minimum in the school system, minimum 4 or 5 languages everyone should know. I mean,
I agree. I totally agree. I think we should aspire to be multilingual in Africa. But then I will also add that I believe that every nation state in Africa, every ethnic group should be teaching their own local languages at schools. They should be using that as the language of instruction with maybe English or any other language at their schools. And then if an African person from a different region moves to that area, they bring their own language, but then they also get to learn that African language that is spoken in that locale. That is one way I think we can really keep our language alive. At Osiri University, we have instructors who have already started designing their courses in their local languages. So they will design a course in English, but then they also design a course, the same course, a section of that course in their local language, so that someone who doesn't speak English can enroll in the same course and gain the same content. I think that will be the approach that we need to keep on encouraging.
Thank you very much.
Just so you know, we did promise that we will spend a little bit more time today, because last time we ran out of time with Professor Muchie. So we're going to spend a little bit more. So that's why we have some more time on the clock here. But there's another question here for you, Professor. Given the size and diversity of Africa, is the concept of African education realistic? And if it is, how do you recommend that we go about systematizing it? How do we systematize African education given the size and diversity of Africa?
Yes, thank you for the question. Whether, as I said to you, and as you also said, Ubuntu, there is a philosophy that came from India, Bukubakam they call it, it says the entire world should be treated like one human family. Don't call some strangers some relatives. Even the whole world, all humans, instead of dividing themselves with race, ethnicity, language, religion, they should be thinking their humanity is what defines them. So in Africa, we have all suffered from a shared thing. It didn't come to only one group or another, or one region or another. It came to all of us. For example, slavery came to all of us. We're all treated like commodities. Colonialism came to us. We're all colonized. I just gave you a brief poem about Lusophone, Francophone, Levantine phone, all that phone, Anglophone. We are not a phone. Africa is not a phone. But philia, Africa is love. Key thing is that we had faced imperialism. Now we are also so-called decolonized, but we still have not completed our decolonization. We need to decolonize even the decolonization. If we want to do it well, education is critical. The kind of education we do, what we learn, what we need to unlearn, all right, is very, very important. We need to unlearn the wrong things. We don't need to be, even those people who colonized, we don't need to hurt them. No. What we need to do now is protect ourselves. If we want to do that, the most important thing is unity. Tell me, how come America, the entire world, all humanity from all over the world is in the United States? They have created 50 states, yes, and they survive. I know they have problems, racism and all that, but they are surviving. How can we Africans should not be able to do it? What's the problem? We should come together. We should appreciate our differences, whatever differences we have, but we should value and celebrate our Africanness, our Africanity, our African identity. Let's not degrade into tribalism. Let's not degrade into ethnicism. Let's not degrade into languageism. Let's not degrade, yeah, into all kinds of religionism, everything like that. You know, my brother said he's now writing a paper which I'm fascinated, religiosity and innovation. Let's innovate ourselves out of all this nonsense. The division is something we should cherish. It's fine. The difference is fine. But we mustn't make it a means to acquire something with. Just the fact that I come from Ethiopia should not make me, all right, different from the one of you who come from Nigeria. I even have been given a Nigerian name. Olamawe is my name. My Nigerian PhD students and others, they all are nice to me. They say, we need to call you. You are one of us. They say, because you see, what I do is I support them, and they support me, and so on. So the way they express it. So all I'm saying to all of us is, sincerely speaking, the only way Africa could decolonize itself is by unity. Africa must unite or perish. It's no good to have, I think we made the biggest mistake of all of us is to fight to defend borders, which was cynically drawn by all the colonial powers. These borders that we have now, we should reject them and not fight and kill each other for them. Even all the killings that happen and the coup d'etats, many things that have happened for now 57 years since 1963, all that we should really rethink it. Unlearn to relearn, unthink to rethink, redesign Africa from de-designing the colonial project. I think we should go for that, my brothers. I really mean it. I think it's important. Africa must unite. If Africa unites, what will happen? Can I just tell you? The DRC Congo has resources estimated to 24 trillion. That's the combined gross national product of all of Europe and America in one place in Africa alone. Can I just tell you? If the richness of Africa is extraordinary, the wealth of Africa is extraordinary, but who takes our wealth? Billions are taken out, over nearly 70 billion every year goes out of Africa, and we don't take it. No, sincerely, our people are suffering. It's still not like that. So if we're united and we learn how to own Africa, everyone will be okay. There will be no problem. Everyone will be okay. Even the Norwegians created what's called the Sovereign Wealth Fund. They only have little oil, but now everybody in Norway is rich. They call it Sovereign Wealth Fund. They say, should we give the wealth to the states? They said no. To the companies? No. To the people of Norway? Yes. Then now Norway is rich. They even had an Norway Africa Innovation Week where I was invited. I was amazed, honestly, fascinated just being there with them. And there's no poor person in Norway. Even in Scandinavia, when I was teaching 12 years in Scandinavia, I never had a key for my office. I never had a key for where I used to stay. No need to have keys. Nobody steals. Everybody's okay. I think we need to create, in Africa, we can create it if we're very intelligent. But we have leadership crisis. We have governance crisis, institutional crisis. We have the politics is too rubbish and too dirty, really bad. All these political parties, they are ethnic based and all the thing, and they are not nice. So we need to change that. We need to Africanize ourselves. We are Africans and humans. In the Ethiopianism philosophy, they said Ethiopia made Africa for Africans. Africans to become human, as humans to reach God. They said, because they created all kinds of churches, and they said, they called them Ethiopian churches, and they said, why? Because all these races and the pastors and all this were attacking Africans. You are Africans, you are Lucifer, you are Satan. But when they say we are Ethiopian, it gave us direct access to God, direct access to Christ. Princes come out of Egypt, the stretched hands of the God. This kind of the Psalm 36, number 1. They mention all that, and they just say Ethiopia stretched their hands unto God. They really say we are all Ethiopians, we are Africans like you. Why not? Even this has been spread all over West Africa, East Africa, Caribbean, Latin America, America, Southern Africa here was very strong. They even created Ethiopian manifestos. The Ethiopian manifesto mean Africa, more or less call it African manifesto. So we have even our history. Even if one of the courses I really need to develop is this Ethiopianism philosophy too. The Ethiopian philosophy of the African Enlightenment, I told you, that's an African Enlightenment. And then this is called Ethiopian philosophy. The other one is called Ethiopianism philosophy, which is liberation. Oppressed humanity getting spiritual strength and wealth for just the fact that and one of them resisted colonialism, slavery, everything throughout history. That's the kind of thing we need to do, and I think we need to be strong. Let's be Africans. Africans first. Africans are the, when we are united, we are human. When we are disunited, we are just will be it will be used and abused and misused, and will always be conflict in a division state. And then all this rich wealth Africa has, we never use. Even electricity, we have solar energies that can not only be for all of us electricity, but for all Europe. We can even give it for free. We have so many things. We created ANSOL, African Solar Energy Network. Please Google www.ansol.org. See it. There's so much wealth in Africa. I'm just so sad that because of the way we behave towards each other, we love others and not each other. We don't trust each other. We don't work with each other. And I think we should do that. We should create trust capital, social capital, human capital, and natural capital of Africa. Let's not go for financial capital. Money is evil, so don't go for money. Love each other. Somebody gives you money and say attack your brother, tell him no, take your money. I don't want your money. My brother comes first. My sister comes first. I like you to think and believe like this. Value Ubuntu, Ubuntu, Ubuntu. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. And just to add to that, another way to really systematize education in Africa, in my opinion, would be to celebrate the different innovations and discoveries from all parts of Africa, as you have alluded to earlier, because no African nation state or ethnic group has it all. So we might go to the Shona people or to the Kikiyus or to the Igbos and learn business. We might go to the Yorubas and learn math, right? So that all the different ethnic groups have offered something. They've developed several things that we can excavate and document, and we can bring that to benefit the entire continent.